in Major League history. 13 years, $350 million. The Giants are all in. They've put all the chips out there. Of course, the disappointment, they really wanted Aaron Judge. They thought he had him. Judge teased them, went back to New York. Correa obviously is one of the best shortstops in the game. And this is a significant signing, obviously, for the San Francisco Giants.
I think this is the signing that saved the GM tenure for Juan Saidi. Listen, and I'll give people a peek behind the curtain last night when we were going over, what we're going to talk about today. Yep. This segment was originally scheduled to be the Giants have swung and missed in free agency again, right?
Yes.
That they had their eyes set on all these stars and came up empty. Yep. And then 2 minutes after I sent you the rundown, the Correa news breaks, and I'm like, well, time to rethink this. If you're that front office, you're breathing a sigh of relief. I think this was an outstanding signing for the Giants. Importantly, one, they have a star, finally, and they've been lacking that since Posey retired.
Yep.
And more importantly, it makes the other signings, Scott, that they did now make more sense. The Mitch Haniger signing, now that's not your big bat that you signed, but he's a secondary signing. That's really good. I don't think the Manaea signing is great, but I thought the Ross Stripling signing was really good.
Yep.
But none of that would have mattered if they didn't sign Correa.
Oh yeah, no, those are all secondary players, no question. There, what's interesting to me about this, and I don't think the comparison is 100%. It certainly isn't, because the caliber of players are a little less. But I feel like this is almost a situation in terms of when the Yankees signed Alex Rodriguez. And you've got Derek Jeter at short, because Brandon Crawford next to Buster Posey is the Giants franchise. I mean, he is still the guy who is thought of back to the glory days. He's still there. He's still a quality shortstop. He's not hitting like he used to. But to the point, does Correa come in? Is he the automatic shortstop? Like, what's the positioning look like? Obviously, you're better with having Correa there. I still think there might be a couple things they got to figure out.
Yeah, no, there is. And the big thing because you have Crawford, who was hurt last year, but did sign that extension.
Yep.
And you look at third base, Evan Longoria has just been in and out of that lineup now for multiple seasons.
That hasn't worked.
It hasn't worked. And, given his age, I cannot see a scenario where they bring back Evan Longoria. And I think Carlos Correa he's a big dude. I think he's too big to play shortstop. Mm-hmm. I think he is perfect for the hot corner. And then you also remember the Giants have Marco Luciano. He's their number one prospect in the minors. He's a shortstop. I think he's the heir apparent to Brandon Crawford, unless you can, move him over to second base. Yeah. And then you got an offense of, I guess, Brandon Belt at first with Luciano and Crawford up the middle and Correa at third. If healthy and Luciano ends up being
that could be a pretty good lineup.
That can be a really good lineup, but there's still a lot of question marks there.
Well, and here's the other thing too, because shortstops just by nature have big egos because they're used to being the leader out there. I mean, the shortstop is considered the leader of the infield unit. If you try to move Carlos Correa, how is that going to affect him? Is he going to be just fine? Put me at third base. Fine, stick me at second for a season, maybe. I don't know the mindset of Carlos Correa and how that might affect him with the bat.
Yeah, no, the last thing you want is to sign a guy to 13 and 350.
He's got to be your guy.
Yeah, he's got to be happy. So to your point,
but Crawford is still the guy, right?
I mean, is he?
I don't know. I feel like for Giants fans, he is
for sure.
And not that matters per se, because once Correa comes in and settles in, all is forgotten. But I don't know. It's still an interesting mixture to me. And I think it's definitely a great signing for the Giants. There's no doubt about that. Having said that, I think they much rather have had a power hitter,
Oh God,
along the lines, the Aaron Judge, the outfielder.
Yeah, in a compete now environment, Aaron Judge was the guy, and even I think they would have probably had at that point at shortstop Trey Turner or Xander Bogaerts.
Sure.
But I mean, Correa is fantastic, and it's not like he can't swing the bat. He's a very good hitter. But looking at it now, when we put this lineup in perspective, at least. If you got a healthy Mitch Haniger, who, I mean, he only played 57 games last year, but he played 157 the year before, and he was fantastic for the Mariners. And that really gives you a lot of pop in the middle of that lineup, which that team lacked last year for long periods. And
they got to figure out what's behind the plate.
They got to figure out what's behind the plate. Is Joey Bart your guy or not? I mean, that debate's been going on now for 2 seasons.
And the fact that it's been going on for 2 seasons tells you what the answer is, doesn't it?
No, exactly. Yeah. I think this is kind of his make or break year.
Yeah.
But, you're likely to lose Rodon. I don't think Minaya and Stripling are going to make up for that, although Stripling's going to be really good for them.
I think he's a quality pitcher.
He is. And in a pitcher-friendly ballpark, I think that's going to really help him, as you know.
Heck, he almost pitched a no-hitter in that ballpark his first game ever.
That's what I'm saying. So he's clearly very comfortable there. But I look at the overall lineup. I look at the moves they make. The Giants, on paper, will be a much better team next year. But do you see them competing with the Dodgers or Padres?
Not at this point, no. I don't. I honestly feel like San Diego's the best lineup in the West right now.
Well, you look at the Dodgers losing Trey Turner. They haven't.
Dodgers have done nothing.
The Dodgers have done nothing.
They've had more to start with, of course.
Yeah, but
I mean, they've been zeros so far.
Me and Dave were having this talk because he was really in on the idea of like, man, Cody Bellinger could be a quality signing at 1 year. I've been out on Cody Bellinger for a while now. I don't think the Dodgers lineup's going to lose much. But how are they going to replace Trey Turner's bat? And then Justin Turner isn't signed, so the entire left side of your infield is up for grabs right now. But I'm with you. I mean, the Padres, that lineup is so disgusting. Oh, hey, by the way,
Tatis coming
they're
back.
getting Fernando Tatis Jr. back next year. Given their pitching, are you looking at that division right now as the Padres 1, Dodgers 2, Giants 3?
I think going into it, the Padres have the best lineup. They still got to prove they can beat. I mean, they did prove they could beat them in the playoffs. They got to prove it in the regular season over 162 games. But to me, yes, I think the Padres are the favorite, barring something else that we haven't seen happening right now. And I still think the Giants are middle of the pack.
So it's interesting. They're middle of the pack because I agree with you. I still think the Giants are going to be much improved and they're going to be a solid 3 in that NL West, which, hey, given the expanded playoffs that you can get a 7 seed with that lineup. But moving forward with all of this money, I still think the biggest issue they have, and I'm surprised that, they spent so much time courting position players. You have a pitcher-friendly ballpark, and you won 3 World Series built on amazing starting pitching with some timely hitting. I have no idea why they weren't going after more big names. Like, why not? If you're trying to win now, why not give 2 years and big money to a guy like Justin Verlander?
I'm with you on that because that is a pitcher's ballpark for sure. And the one thing about Aaron Judge as well, I mean, he didn't want to come to San Francisco because he doesn't want to hit in that ballpark.
No.
Now, if you're Barry Bonds hitting out in Splash Waterville, right, out there in the Cove, different story. And we'll get into this later in the program. But Correa, too, how great a shortstop is he really? You look at some of the metrics on him, and it doesn't rank high, but we'll get into that a little bit later.
He did win a Gold Glove in 21, but yeah, the metrics would suggest that that's an outlier season.
Which is interesting. We'll talk about that more. We've got to get moving. We want to get in some 40